Welcome back to Holistic Moms. I'm your host, Shan Wright. I have a real treat for you today because I have someone on the podcast that is a lot like me. And so if you're listening to this show, then I know you're going to love her. She has a very similar story as to mine, but she is a podcaster and health coach in really the weight loss space. This is Kelsey Wickenhauser. She is born and raised in Illinois, married her high school sweetheart, Cody, a physical therapist, and her partner in crime. She is a PA herself, and together they have 3 beautiful kids and a dream to make the world a better place through helping families be healthy and whole. Hundreds of women have reclaimed their bodies and minds with Kelsey through Fit Moms. Through her transformative approach, she goes beyond the surface level of weight loss coaching, delving deep into the emotional and spiritual factors that contribute to the battle with excess weight. So as you can hear there, we're so similar in our approach. We both go deep into the emotional and spiritual realms, and that's what she does. So you're going to love hearing from her, getting to know her, and I can't wait for you to hear this conversation. Let's get started. So you want to pursue wellness and make sustainable change in your life? Get out of that rinse cycle in motherhood. But how? You have no time for you. You have no energy for you. And you don't even know where to start. Listen, I get it. I'm going to share how one simple, scientifically proven tool I use will increase your ability to reach your goals by 400%. What? That's crazy. I know. And add my secret sauce to that proves you are 95% likely to be successful in whatever goal you choose. Yes, I have the tools to help you. God taught me these simple strategies that only take minutes to seconds of your day. Schedule 1 hour for you. I know it's hard to even find an hour sometimes, but make it during nap time or rest time, or even if a kid interrupts, that's okay. This 1 hour will pay dividends because when you fill your cup, you can overflow to your children, and that's what matters most. Mama, you feel like you have no time for you and you are empty. You are. Schedule this hour and we will find time for you and get you filled up. Go right now to theshanwright.com/coaching and let's do it together. That's right with the W, theshanwright.com. See you there. Hey mama, are you stressed by the lack of time in the day to do all the things? Are you feeling disconnected from God, your husband, and even your kids because patience and presence seem out of reach? Do you want a healthier body, mind, spirit, and home, but overwhelmed in where to start? Hey, I'm Shan Wright, daughter of the king, wife, mom to 4, RN, wellness coach, and I know very well what it feels like to want to live well, but about to lose it with my very blessed full life. After realizing I can't pour from an empty cup, I tracked my way to whole body wellness and so much peace. If you are ready to cancel the stressed out life, learn tactical, intentional strategies as a mom wearing many hats, find more peace, confidence, and joy raising kingdom kids, then listen in. Come on, mama, together we got this. Really, God's got this. So go heat up that coffee again and turn your listening ears on. Let's chat. Okay, I'm so excited to share with you today a special guest interview. I have a new friend here named Kelsey. Kelsey, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to chat.
Yes, I am so excited to learn more about you and your story. So, for the listeners, we actually met through a podcasting coaching program, and I saw her from afar in some of the meetings and Zooms, and just knew she had so much knowledge and wisdom to share around a lot of topics, but around this big topic of weight loss and fitness and how to do it with a kingdom mindset. So, I'm so excited to bring her wisdom to you today. And I want to start with just sharing about our family. So share about a little bit about your family. And I will say you have a podcast called Kingdom Fit Moms. So I know you're a mom, but tell us all the good stuff about the kids.
Sure. Yeah. So my oldest is about to turn 8, which is just crazy how time goes. Everybody says that when you're in it. It's true. So anyway, I have an 8-year-old boy, a 5-year-old daughter, and another 3-year-old son. So I feel like we're working our way out, at least for now, from diapers and potty training and all the things. So we homeschool. I never imagined that as part of my journey, but the Lord brought us there. It's been over 2 years of homeschooling now. So that's been fun and challenging. And we also went on an adventure a couple years ago, moving out to the country. So my husband and I, we live on about 40 acres, and we're getting into a little bit of homesteading. We're going to get chickens soon, which is fun. And we have a dog that hunts pheasant. And who am I? I don't know who I am
I
anymore, but
It sounds so exciting. I'm like
yeah.
sitting here like, oh my gosh, that is fun and that is fun. And I love that you said, and I hear this a lot, like homeschooling, and I never thought I'd be here. And every time I hear that, that's what I would say is like homeschooling is definitely not ever in my future. But every time someone says that, I'm like, wait, does that mean I'm going to be saying that one day?
Well, it's funny because we were in a season of transition, and my husband and I, we've been in this community for a while, but we're kind of like, where are people that are really like pressing in and pursuing the Lord? And we met a friend who invited us to a home church. And I never experienced that before, and it was amazing. And then all the families there homeschooled, and I was just like, "Oh no, I know what this means. I know what the I know what the Lord's going to ask me to do." So,
Yes, right.
here
It
we
is.
are.
It does matter like who you're surrounding yourself with. It definitely plays into your lifestyle. So cool. Okay. I I did this with a few interviews and I've gotten off track with doing it, but because you have a 3-year-old, I've got to ask, do you have a funny toddler story for us?
So my son just turned 3, and as a 2-year-old, well, he's been my most challenging, but you always know it's bad when it's quiet. And so it was quiet, and I go into the bathroom, and he was using his little play broom in the toilet to clean my floors. So that was very nice of him, and I had a huge mess to clean up, but
That is so fun. I love when they try to do things that are somewhat helpful and then you're like, it's really worse. It's just worse.
yeah.
That's good. I have a well, I guess he's a little 4 and a little bit now, but I had 2 girls and then 2 boys, and so like little boys, I just told them both like, please don't grow up. Like there's something about little boys that are so stinking fun, and every time they get older, I get sadder. Um, okay, so I for the audience that's listening, I am looking at Kelsey in Scrubs. So I need to know her story. Like, how did you get to be a podcaster and a coach? And why are you in Scrubs? Like, tell me your journey as to, um, yeah, just kind of like a career path journey, like, and just like the story God's obviously writing in you that led you to where you are. And we also know you're starting a homestead. So that's like a whole new story. So take us wherever you want to go.
Sure. So it's funny how things in our childhood plant little seeds for our future. And I grew up in a family and just in a culture where I remember when I was 7 or 8 asking my dad very frankly, because kids don't have filters. We were at an event, a bunch of adults were sitting around. And I remember asking, like, when I grow up, am I going to be fat? That was what I asked. So, anyway, there was a seed planted in me where I recognized the culture around me was unhealthy. And I thought that when I was little, I'd be healthy and I'd grow up and I would lose that. And I didn't have the language for it, but it led me to this place when I was an athlete in high school and college, and I was very worried about gaining weight. And I was health conscious. It became an idol. I would try to out exercise a bad diet. Um, it just kind of became something that was always on my mind. But those trials we go through, it often becomes a seed for what God is going to do in your life. So I went to PA school and I learned about all these health issues that obesity was a part of the problem. And so I just continued to gain this growing fascination into what's going on? Like, what is the root behind this? Why is it such a struggle? Yes, of course, our food is not great and culturally and money and government has gotten involved, but what's going on in the hearts of people that lead down this path of this struggle with weight. And so it has become my passion as I have learned, as I've uncovered the why. But it took a while because I've been in medicine for over a decade. I've worked in primary care, prompt care. That's where I work now a little bit. But in family medicine and in primary care, I would always try to help patients with this because I know that it's such a growing issue. And I could make a little bit of a dent. Some people would have success, but there was never this true healing.
Hmm.
And over the past few years, I discovered health coaching. I didn't even know this was a thing, but I started a business, of course, like right as the pandemic was starting. So that was interesting timing, but I started to work one-on-one with different clients, and then the Lord really shifted my heart to want to work specifically with Christian women and help them to uncover the roots of why it began. And my husband and I, we went through a training it was through Elijah House. And there's a place locally called Freedom House Ministry. And it is the most amazing. I feel like every church, if we understood that the roots of why we behave the way we do are there's something that can be dug up and healed, and we can go through a process of forgiveness and repentance. And when we do that in any area where there's bad fruit, we can achieve healing with the help of the Holy Spirit. And
Hmm.
so God has just combined, my knowledge in medicine and healthcare and the human body with the spirit and things that we struggle with at such a deep level that we don't often have language for. And he's helped me to weave this together into a program for women to break free. So in 2021, I quit my job and I said, all right, I'm doing this thing. And then for a while, my husband's a physical therapist. We're both really into healing in the body. He quit his job. We're running this business and just it's been incredible. I've been able to meet people from all over the world. I just had one of my clients who's down 100 pounds. She came to visit me over the 4th of July. And, you know, I think there's really no greater joy than walking out the call that God has over your life. And when you're able to live into that and um, just be who you created to be without hindrance, then it's just so freeing. And so, of course, running a business is hard and it's much easier to practice medicine, but I felt like the comfort of that became suffocating and I had to break out and live out the thing that I knew God was calling me to do. So here I am.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. That takes a lot of courage. We talk a lot about courage on this podcast, and that takes courage because, like you just said, practicing medicine, you went to school with it, you got a degree, you accomplished that, and you can get a job in that easily and succeed. Succeed as in make money and help people. But that wasn't what God was like calling you to necessarily. There was a little do that, and now I'm going to have you go here. And that took courage to make that switch and to make that pivot. And so, yeah, I honor you for that courage because that's really hard recently. And we have a similar story because I'm an RN and I could easily go back and practice medicine being RN and help people in a hospital setting or even other types of settings and do it where I know I have a secure job, I'm making a steady income. And we've had this conversation as a family, and I only can go back to when I'm talking to my husband, but this is what God's called me to, and I have to honor that, and I have to continue doing it. Um, you know, for this time being, like let's just keep going because I don't know, you can't quit when God calls you to something until He says so, until He says to pivot again. So, yeah, I have a similar path where it was like, and that's why I am holistically pursuing holistic wellness is because it's the root system, right? Like, where is
Yeah.
this at the bottom of it? I'm not just treating you, um, whatever need is presenting itself. And and then it is funny because we have that. I think a lot of that is rooted in our belief system and our Christianity and knowing like God made us so complex and we can't just treat these ailments and say, bye, be on your way, because we care for people and we love people. And it's hard to love people in like a 30-minute appointment and be like, but wait, there's so much more. So I totally feel all of that. And so I love how you're now sharing with women. And that's so exciting that you and your husband are kind of doing this together. I did not know that. And I love how on your podcast, it says it on your cover, but also like you talk about this in your intro and throughout, is you want to break the cycle of diet and lose weight for the last time.
Mhm.
And I love that because so many people feel that immediately. They're like, yes, tell me. And you even say, like, you might not believe me. So can you share a little bit about this? Like, how does this work? And how do you coach people through that?
Yeah. So the way that I picture it is if you have a target, right, with three layers, those are kind of, there's three layers to this process. So the outer layer is where everybody usually stays in the world, going from diet to diet, counting things. And all of those things are not evil, right? Like they can have a
Mhm.
place and they can teach you tools for how to lose weight and to be healthy, but they're not holistic, right? They're not getting to the bottom of it. So the first step is to replace, Weight Watchers or Optavia or counting things with getting to the basics of eating real food. Eat the food that God made. And until you do that consistently, we don't need to be in the weeds with anything else. You don't need to be fasting. You don't need to be cutting carbs. We need to just eliminate the junk and eat real food. And it can seem too simple, but I've had so many clients that I've worked with who that's all they do. They drop 50 pounds, they drop 70 pounds because they're doing that with these other concepts that I'm going to mention. So that's the first step. The second step is to have a good system to implement health. And I think you talk about this a lot from what I've learned from what you do with women. But, when you're 20 and if you don't have a kid and, you don't have a lot of responsibility and you go to the gym for a couple hours, that's a lot different story than when you have kids and you have a job or you're schooling your kids or whatever. You have to get creative and you have to learn that, busy and healthy don't have to be mutually exclusive. So that includes systems, it includes changing the way that you think, which I know you do a lot of, and recognizing those stinky thoughts right from the beginning and learning to change them. So that's kind of the implementation piece that I go over with my students. And then the middle piece is really how do we invite God into that? And this is really where it's that kingdom minded focus. And first of all, like we have to know our identity and what we have access to and the abundant life that God promises, including abundant health. And I think a lot of people try to separate this and they feel like, well, God doesn't care about my weight or he doesn't care about my health journey, or it's, I need to be focusing on what's spiritual, but it is spiritual. Like our bodies, we are vessels of the Holy Spirit. And so the identity piece is really huge, breaking off the orphan spirit. And then when we recognize there's bad fruit in our lives and we're not walking in that full identity, then we have to figure out why. When I was little, was I taught that my needs aren't valued. And I got to this place where I'm continuing that cycle of not honoring my needs. So that's a root that needs healing. There's several different roots that I go through with my clients that are related to weight. Sometimes, seeking love from others is, a root of codependency. If I mean, there's so many. I could go into that for a long time, but you probably talk about a lot of that on your podcast too. But then once we can pray through that and heal, then we can get really excited about our kingdom purpose and start dreaming again of what's life like without this burden and how can I live that out without thinking about my weight all the time? Because my clients are really plagued by this. It's always on their mind and they're always thinking about, what should I wear, or how do I hide in this picture? How do I get out of this social situation? And so it's really keeping them from living out their kingdom purpose. So as we heal, We get to walk in purpose and then declare a new story. So, speaking things out, it's so important to speak out your new reality, how heaven sees you. So it's a combination of all three of those layers, and inviting the Holy Spirit to kind of guide you through all of that.
Yeah, yes, yes. I do a lot of this in my coaching as well because we kind of, yeah, like have the same mission is to get people to get to the root of what's going on. And if you don't start with the identity and you don't start with what these little seeds that were planted way back, you never dig it up completely, it will always come back. So love that. And I'm sure, like I know that is very successful. When you do that, you can change your life. You can, whatever you want to change, weight, just, reducing your anxiety, reducing your stress, having more peace, having more energy, just all of that. Anything can change if you get to the root of it. So thanks. That's awesome. And also on as holistic moms, we are raising kids and we're raising kids that we want to also flourish in the kingdom. And this is our legacy. This is what we're bringing into the world and can leave. So, how do you teach your client and on your show and whatnot? How do you teach them how our health as moms and the way we treat our bodies is influencing our kids and our legacy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I think when we have this mindset that we are able to break the chain, it's usually not a first generation person struggling with weight that, I'm working with, or a first generation person with trauma or
Hmm.
anxiety. And
Hmm.
so when you can have this mindset of I'm going to do this to break that chain for my kids, that's pretty motivating, right? Because when you're in the midst of a struggle, like you don't want your kids to go through that. So just the mindset of that, I think, is helpful. And then bringing your kids into the process. It's not like you need to talk to them like, hey, I'm trying to lose weight, but it's like, hey, I'm honoring my body and even repenting of, I haven't been honoring my body and God's teaching me new things. And hey, you want to help me meal plan this week? Or do you want to help me um, chop these peppers or vegetables and help me to, do things in the kitchen, or you want to come on a walk with me, and inviting them into the journey so that they can see that this is normal and that being healthy is just a part of who we are as humans. I think just like anything that you're trying to instill in your kids, the more that you can normalize it, the better. And then when they leave your house, they're equipped. And so like with my kids, I'm pretty honest when it comes to food. And I'm never saying like this is going to make you gain weight or this food is bad, but I will tell them, hey, if you eat a lot of sugar in the midst of cold and flu season, right? It's causing your body to have reactions that might make you more prone to getting sick. So if, and they're thinking about being with their friends all the time. And so you can just be honest, like, hey, I don't want you to miss out. Let's fuel our body well. So I think it's just being honest, having a conversation, equipping them and inviting them into the journey.
Yeah, I love that. And I do think it's so good to have those honest conversations. And then also as women being aware that our words are so powerful. And so not to shame and not to put shame on anything, even shame on food. But oh, I just heard something and now I can't remember, but it was a really good quote where this lies. It was it on a podcast? Probably. I listen to a lot of those. And they were asking a health coach or someone in the health space, what would she say about Cheetos or something? And she said, or what would God say if he saw us eating Cheetos? Or, you're asking God, should I have Cheetos? And he's like, well, she says, I think God would say, um, that's not the best for you, but I get it.
Mhm.
Like I understand your heart and what's happening. And when she said, I was like, wow, that is so kind. And God is so kind. And he sees that we are like surrounded by all these temptations and these choices constantly. Are we going to choose the apple or are we going to choose the Cheetos? And it's like we're always inundated, and so are our kids. And so we have to teach them how to make good choices. That's like part of being a mom is all about the choices, right? Like it helps them to um, be mature and responsible and all the things. And at the same time, it's like we're dealing with these choices too. And so the more we can teach them, it's not about shame and it's not about feeling guilty. And it's about you have a choice. Are you going to fuel your body with something that's good for it and not help it get sick? Or are you going to eat the Cheetos and enjoy that for the moment, but know that that is a treat and it's very, this is not something you're going to do on the regular. This is a treat right now at this birthday party or, something like that. Like, um, and I have one of my kids, he knows, like he's noticed when he eats a lot of sugar, he feels bad. And so I was able to help him relate the two, not just say, oh, you're not feeling good today. Must be whatever. To say, oh, remember all that you ate yesterday?
Mm,
That, that does something to our insides. Like we don't just eat it and it doesn't do anything. It actually affects our bodies. And so yeah, that's really good to have those conversations, but to be very careful that we're not shaming
yeah.
anything because that doesn't serve anybody.
Yeah. Have you followed much in learning about blue zones? You familiar?
No, no.
So blue zones are areas of the world where people live to be 100, a high percentage of the population. So there's documentaries about it, but the big thing with blue zones, they studied why do they live so long? Why are they so healthy? They eat real food, they live in the community, they have purpose, they move intentionally. But I think one thing that I love talking about is focusing on creating a blue zone in your home. You're going to be in your home most of the time, right? And if your kids go out to their friend's house or to grandma and they have, Cheetos, okay, that's fine. That's more of the exception. But if you can help them to understand that the home is a safe haven, it's a place for health, it's a place for wholeness and safety without shame, and eliminate the temptation there, I just think you're setting them up to succeed. And so
Yeah.
that's what I am always thinking, like, how can I make this place as healthy as possible? And then kind of let the other stuff not go completely, have conversations, but not worry about it because that's life.
Yeah, that is really good. I had heard about those communities. I didn't know they were called that. That's cool. So I was talking at church with a group of fourth graders as I serve in that area, and we were talking about food, and I'm not really sure why, but we were talking about food and lies that we believe about
Mm.
food or just about things. And I asked them, like, give me some descriptive words about food. And one of them said, food is trustworthy.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to write that down. And I was like, okay. So at the time, I created, I was creating these lies that I was believing about food and that others believe about food. And then what is the truth? And the truth is the Lord is trustworthy. God is trustworthy. And when we replace anything with God, it becomes an idol. And so if you're saying food is trustworthy, you're looking at it as that's the thing in my life that I trust the most.
Mhm.
And that was kind of sad to me, but also it just made me wonder, what is she dealing with at home? What is she dealing with um, in these short years, what, 9 years, that is what's trustworthy to her. Um, and so that comes back to like getting to the root of it, but as an adult, but as these kids, that's where their roots are starting.
Mm, yeah.
So yeah, how are we making sure we're not putting so much emphasis on food either as like treating it like an idol? And I like what you said, like making the home the emphasis, making that the safe haven, making that the place where you can feel trusted and seen and known and loved. And food is there and it is fuel for your body, but it's not the whole comfort piece. That's not where you get all the comfort. You get it from being in the home. So
Yes.
that's really good.
Yeah. Very good points.
Yeah, well, I have loved this. I'm sure so many of our holistic moms are going to love this conversation and get a lot from it. And if they would love to work with you or just listen to more of all that you have to share, where can they find you?
So I love hanging out on my podcast, which is Kingdom Fit Moms. And we also have a Facebook group, same name, Kingdom Fit Moms. And I also hang out on Instagram. You can find me at Kelsey Wickenhauser. And feel free to say hello, send me a DM, and tell me a little bit about your story.
Love that. And you have a website, I'm sure.
Yes. So KelseyWickenhauser.com. Yep.
Okay. And then they can find all your coaching programs there. And I'll put that in the show notes. And yes, I have loved talking to you today. And I'm sure this is really going to resonate with a lot of people. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Wellness Warrior. I pray that blessed you. And if so, it would bless me big if you would write a 5-star review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Not only would this make me super happy, but it will allow for others to find this show too. Also, I love to chat over on Instagram, so make sure to take a screenshot, share to your Instagram stories, and tag me at the Shan Wright so I can see it and we can keep chatting and bring other moms to chat with us. Until we get to chat again, mama friend, may the Lord's face shine upon you and give you peace.